1.
Hi there, my name's Kathy Cooper and I want to welcome you to my world. I have several topics that I wish to talk about. Actually there's about 15, but this is going to be part 1 of astrology, and basically I'm going to be talking about why astrology works. That's a hard one to explain, and because most people think, how can all those huge planets out there affect us mere mortals here down on Earth? And it does seem pretty ridiculous. And if anyone were to ask an astrologer why does it work, most astrologers would say, I don't know. And that's the truth. We don't know why it works. We just know that it does. We study it, and I've been studying it for 38 years. So, and I'm still learning. And a lot of people seem to think that astrology is just about your sun sign. Well, the sun is the life force in everyone's chart, but it can be overcome by other factors in your chart, such as a very strong ascendant that has a whole lot of mega aspects from the big planets out there. So that can actually alter your sun sign description. So you might be a Taurus and you may be very hardworking rather than lazy, or you may spend money without thinking about it. Just things like that. It's something that surprised me during my early studies, but going back to 1974, that there was a book written by approximately 190 Nobel Prize winners, and they all denounced astrology. And what was interesting to discover was that not one of these people had ever studied astrology or read a book. So, you know, how can you make a comment and when you've got absolutely no facts in front of you? There was another guy who also went into and studied astrology. I can't think of his name offhand, but he set out to disprove astrology all by himself. He studied it thoroughly, and he could not believe what he learnt. He did it mainly on athletes to find out what was strong in their charts and how it stood out. And the other thing is that, you know, it's not just about where your sun is. The moon is very, very important, and it basically rules the intellect, and it also rules the emotion. So whatever sign and house placement your moon is in gives a lot of information to the astrologer. And one of the most wonderful parts of astrology is not about the fortune telling. It's about giving advice, such as, please don't buy a car on such and such a day, because everything on this planet has a birth time, whether it's a house, a marriage, the birth time of a car rolling off the assembly line is the birth time of that. Even to do with planting, you know, we follow the moon phases, things like that. It's very interesting to be able to talk to a client and say, look, okay, I can see you're having a very difficult time at the moment. However, by September, things are going to look up. So, you know, just ride with the tide. Don't go changing jobs and don't go making any serious decisions. For example, if you were very unhappy with your job and you had this awful Saturn or Pluto aspect saying that, you know, things are pretty tough going, the conditions at work, and you might think, oh, I want out of here. Well, the thing is, an astrologer would probably advise you to stay where you are, and the reason for that is because you would probably not even enjoy the new job that you went into. You'd probably have very similar problems. It's the same with relationships, and the interesting thing about relationships is that the people we marry, and this is so significant, we are destined to marry them. There's no ifs or buts about that at all. Astrology can tell you how many children you will have, whether you come from a small family or a large family. It will tell you what your career aspirations are, whether you're ambitious or whether you're a lazy person, because you've got a beautiful chart with all these wonderful aspects. And all the wonderful aspects, that's fine, but it tends to make people less ambitious, and so they don't make things happen for themselves. They just sit and ride the wave, you know. And that's what I want to get across, is that astrology is very important in giving guidance, telling you when the bad times are going to be over, telling you when the good times are coming. It can even tell you when not to buy a computer. There's just so many things, even just in general, not just your own personal chart, but your own personal chart will show so many things that you would not believe. Whether you belong to large groups of people, whether you have few friends, whether you will want to live in a large home, whether you will feel the need to live by the water, the ocean. And so it basically is giving lots of information that you could not possibly imagine. And one particular area of the chart that I find interesting is it's what's called the sixth house part of your chart, which the whole chart is a circle divided into 12 equal parts on an equal house system, but I use a different one. But the sixth house can tell you a lot about what kind of health problems you will have. And that is really fascinating, because it will tell you whether you're prone to accidents, whether you're going to have problems with your bones, your hearing, whether you're going to be born without limbs, and how you will struggle with that. There is just so much there, and also, especially with Saturn there, it can diminish the hearing and create bones that are very fragile and easily broken. It can also mean that you work very hard and usually for very little reward. So I think astrology has a lot to offer, and this is only part one, a very brief introduction, and I want to thank you for tuning in, and I want to thank my friends Joe and Paul for their assistance and support. Thank you. See you next time.